Why should I hide where I was? Because this applies to me. I was only interested in pleasures, and I had a lot of pleasures. Yeah, but I also became an alcoholic because all of a sudden the pleasures seemed not to be good enough anymore to deal with my fear. I was full of fear that I didn't even notice because I was born with it in Switzerland. Very shy, afraid of everything, but behaving as if I'm not afraid. Because when I talk to people, they say, "What, you?" But that's what it was. Yeah, so then, that, and also kind of being insignificant and blah, blah, but I had a lot of pleasures, I had a lot of money also. So it's like, for me it's like a miracle that I am where I am now, thanks to this practice, and that I started and I didn't stop even. I fell into it like, Asterix? Obelix who fell into the pot of the magic potion, It was a bit like me. I fell into the pot of Dharma after my first course. It made so much sense to me. But I needed 41 years to meet the teacher who opened the door. I had read Buddhist books before, and I thought, yeah, it's interesting. I was undergoing psychotherapy when I stopped drinking, because then the fear really exploded. And you can be afraid in a totally safe environment. You don't need all this outside danger to be afraid and to be anxious. Yeah, this is how our crazy mind works. So to upkeep that virya and that enthusiasm, to see how rare it is that all these things have come together now for you. The interest, the methods, the examples, and the people who practice it with you. And even if they're not Buddhist, but people still in this country believe in non-violence. That's wonderful. You're not alone. And then there's this, of course, in the Bodhicharyavatara, there's the 7th chapter, that talks about enthusiasm, because it's one of the 6 perfections. Mm-hmm. So even if you, I don't know how much, have you studied with them, the Bodhicharyavatara, like the...
דרך הבודיסטווה.
The Bodhisattva's way of life?
לא.
Such a beautiful text. And it's so psychologically clever, the way he built it up. And you can feel that he's speaking from his own experience. So first he has to think about the benefits of bodhicitta, right? And to really see, it's very difficult to, as you said, to have bodhicitta means you want to attain liberation from suffering and causes of suffering, so you can lead others to that state. So you're not doing it for yourself, right? The doing it for yourself is kind of the side product. The main purpose is so I can be of benefit to others. It's like a parent who goes to study something when they see the kid has a certain sickness. They go and listen to conferences. Their interest in listening to whoever explains that sickness is much bigger than the medical student, because there's interest. Yeah? So being interested in our own self-compassion and for my own well-being and all this, that's good. I'm not saying it's bad, and you don't have to give it up, but I want to be good, I want to be strong, I want to be calm, in order to be able to bring that calmness to others, in order for others to be able to be of benefit to others. Then it becomes very, very meaningful. And I guess you all know Viktor Frankl. Mm-hmm. Yes. In Switzerland, hardly anybody knows him, unfortunately. So I was also at the conference of palliative doctors and nurses, and there were about 500 people, and there were some conferences, and somebody who was giving a very good talk and speech, he mentioned Viktor Frankl a few times, that he is using, his books and whatever with dying people. Mm-hmm. That even at the end of life you can still find meaning. Mm-hmm. And he uses Viktor Frankl's books and sayings and quotes.
It's interesting, his grandchild lives in Vienna, so I'm surprised. In Austria. Viktor Frankl's grandchild lives in Austria, so I'm surprised.
You're surprised that he went back to Austria, or what?
I'm surprised that they don't know
Hmm.
about Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
Austria is not Switzerland, but still.
Still, I think even in Austria, it's not so known, and it's so inspiring and so beautiful to read.
Right.
Viktor Frankl's book. But anyway, this professor, who is a professor at the University of Geneva, and then he mentioned it a few times. So I said to them one day, hey, Viktor Frankl, who's that? So it's like, so it's good, but now they heard it and then they know, so maybe it becomes more. Because you see, he knows his mind, right? He is a psychiatrist. He had to go, he was taken to Dachau. And so he was studying his mind while he was in that very difficult situation. And he understood, you know, what he said is like, they can take everything away from me, but what they cannot take away is my reaction to the situation. And to give ourselves that choice, and to not just to hear it, but to have faith that this is so, and this is true. And he wasn't even a Buddhist, and he didn't know about enlightenment or all these kind of things, but he knew his mind. So we can trust him because he's a scientist. So when, you know, with this enthusiasm to really, to understand, yes, not to make the situation better than it is, because it is bad. It is difficult, and it's terrible. I mean, there's no words for it. But that there's a but. There's still things that we can appreciate. And this is our own interest in being a good person. Our own interest in having a good heart, if you have it. Otherwise, you have to, find on your own what is the meaning of my life. And then to see that there is methods, I'm interested, there's living examples, and there's people around me who do the same thing, and to connect with them again and again and again. Sangha is so important. Even if, I was in Etapsor in May. I mean, this is why I came in May, because when I heard that they are back, but still, I thought, like, oh gosh. I mean, what they've gone through, who am I to go and tell them what to do? I don't know what to tell them what to do anyway. So I thought, I'm not a psychoanalyst, psychotherapist. I've never kind of talked to people who are traumatized and these kind of things. Usually people who come to the courses, they're quite okay. I thought, maybe I'm going to do more damage than to be of any benefit. So I wrote to them, I wrote to Inbal, and I said, look, I could come if you want, but I don't know how or what we will do. And she said, you just come, just you being there, of course it will be of benefit. What was the benefit? That they met. It was the first time since October 7th. Of course they met each other, but they haven't met as a Dharma group. So in May, it was the first time in Etapsor, it was quite a strong group actually, that they had met again when I came in May, and then they probably started meeting again. But I didn't have any, miracles to give them that they feel okay. It's okay not to feel okay in situations like this. But it's also okay to feel okay, and about well-being, to be calm, and to not, what we can do is not contribute to the whole, somebody, Ronnie came home today and she said she was standing at the elevator and somebody said, there will only be peace when we have killed all the Arabs. And she said, I just didn't say anything. What can you say to a person like that, But you can just breathe, be conscious of your breathing, and it could be us. It could be us having these kinds of views, and we can see that these kinds of views are not going anywhere. How can you kill all the Arabs? I mean, this is impossible, right? So. So like that. So this is your possibility. And then the 7th chapter in the Bodhicharyavatara talks about enthusiasm. And there I think it's verse 40, where it says, how can you be depressed riding on the horse of bodhicitta? Like, Shantideva was talking to himself. So when you find, oh, no, this is too strong for me, then remind yourself, he's not talking to me. He's talking to himself. And if I find it helpful, these verses, I apply them, like this one, to feel really fortunate. How somebody who was just interested in their own kind of pleasure and all this, and all of a sudden gets interested in developing bodhicitta. I mean, it's so rare. And the more we see that something is rare, the more we appreciate it. And then in chapter 7, first he pushes himself a bit, because, hey, you're lazy. He's kind of like a good parent works with different methods for the children. Sometimes they've done terrible, but you need to encourage them. Sometimes they've done terrible, you need to scold them. But you need to know in what state the kid is right then, and then you know. And I think if there's love and compassion, that knowledge comes pretty naturally, doesn't it? Yeah? Knowing what will be, at least the benefit, the wish for it to be a benefit is always there for a parent. So that's how he talks to himself. Sometimes he gets a little lazy bum, what are you doing? Death is waiting at the door. Death is always a good thing, of course, now death is much more present here, but it was present before. This whole thing that we can die any moment is a fact. And that we will die, not just we can die, that we will die, can be a terrible thing, but it can be comforting also. Even very stupid and superficial things like me, I don't have a place which is mine. I don't have a place, people just say, if you don't have anything, you can always come to us at the moment. I don't know how much longer that will be. So I thought, maybe I should look for a place of my own. I could afford it, small studio somewhere in Switzerland. But then I thought, you're not going to live more than most of 20 years. Then, so why are you worrying? Why do you bother? That was very comforting, but sometimes when things seem to be difficult, it looks as if we're permanent and it will last forever and ever and ever and ever, isn't it? It will be eternal. Have you ever had that feeling? And then all of a sudden we think, no, but it will change. I don't have to be in this country. I cannot be in this country eternally. I will have to leave it at one point, like through death. So this is how he starts the enthusiasm chapter, with thinking about death. And when we know, I don't know how many years I have to live. How do I want to spend these last years? It's your choice. But again, if the situation is so difficult as it is now, it is also, of course, more difficult to be joyful. But in Switzerland we have plenty of people who are depressed. Plenty of young people who commit suicide. Really, too many. Because why? Meaningless life. Pleasure, like virya is enthusiasm, joy is prithvi. So joy has causes. We cannot wait until we're joyful. And the first cause for joy is ethical conduct. Voluntarily not harming others, even if you could and nobody sees you and like that. And the result of that, that's the cause, that's not just the base, that is the cause for joy, is when we decide to lead an ethical life. Not because we have to, or somebody will punish us, because we decide. Yeah? You want the microphone? Yeah.
Yeah, that's lead me to the first thing that I wanted to say, but we moved on too fast, so I said it's not relevant anymore. So now it is relevant. we talk about anger and compassion, and I think that first we must have lots of compassion to us, to inside, and it cannot come in other way. We cannot make a mask that we are. No, we must work on loving ourselves, our understanding ourselves, forgiving ourselves, accepting that we're not perfect, we're not going to be perfect, and the motivation to be better. And then when you are really compassionate to yourself, you're starting to feel the beginning of the anger. And you say, no, it's not for me. I love myself too much, so I will not break everything and burn everything around me. And then you can feel compassion to others, like, no, it's too hard for him to hear what I'm going to say, so I'm not going to say that. So this is the key. And sometimes I feel that when you talk about when you were in Switzerland with the high society, and that one is a doctor and a lawyer and everything, and they ask what you do. So sometimes I think that working too much with the brain and developing, it's getting away from the simplicity and the joy. We're starting to build a condition to joy, but the joy is very simple, it's very clear, it's very underground, it's very close to us. So while we are running and searching to be very glory and very, so it be worth. And and even in this war, so we must work on the low jung to also look the other side and to be compassionate to them. It doesn't mean that I don't love my country, I don't love my people, but I know that it's only the cloud in the mind that makes us not clear the blue clear, the humanity, and what makes us the diamond to be very, very simple and
being simple is easy. It's the easiest way, but we're so complicated. This is the problem, isn't it? So the more we want to be special, the more difficult and complicated life becomes. And this is the thing. But yeah, you're right. In order to be simple, you have to be happy being simple. And I think we can all be happy being simple when we understand how difficult this is. You know, how difficult it is to be happy by being simple. By just being yourself the way you are, and also finding meaning in your life. You find meaning in your life. And of course then if it's something that is not harming others, even if it's also not helping, it's good enough, you know. And with the self-compassion, well, you know, looking after ourselves and all that, you can very quickly go into self-cherishing, which then we forget about the happiness of others. But self-cherishing doesn't bring any happiness. Then we cannot open, and then we look and look and look and look and look, always in the same place, but it's not there to be found. And we need to hear these things, you know, we need to hear these things in order to change in order to change my tendencies and attitudes and all this. And really, as you say, think, oh, this is a good thing. I don't like so much when you say I want to become better people. Oh, this is a big trap also. For the moment, good enough, you know. Because by society, especially in the Western society, we learn you have to be better, more, this, that, you know, diplomas. And intelligence is such a thing that is so admired in our society. But, you know, I really feel sad. And I don't know if I should say something sometimes or not when I hear people say, oh, well, you know, yeah, he has a good heart, but he's not the brightest, what is it called, candle on the cake or something like that. It's so sad. It is so sad, you know. And I said, but he's kind and he's a good heart. Yeah, it's not valued enough. And then, of course, if it's not valued in society, we don't value it in ourselves. You know, how many times do you come home in the evening and rejoice by saying, oh wow, today I didn't harm anybody? How much joy do you get out of that? Zero. But if you do harm somebody, we come home with a heavy heart. So we should counterbalance that, but so many evenings we come home and we didn't hurt anybody. Few evenings we come home because we're not doing it intentionally, but sometimes people get hurt by what we say or we don't do. So to really start to rejoice in these kinds of things, I'm still alive, didn't hurt anybody. This so, you know, this also at the time of death, and sometimes I am with dying people, not lately, I haven't been so much, but then, well, I was still in Bern sometimes, and also in America, then there was a hospice there. So when people are very restless at the time of death, and they were still kind of still answer, the first thing I would ask them, said, did you hurt anybody badly in your life? And they immediately relax, because I know, I didn't. So this is also what we can ask ourselves. And then of course, if we have hurt somebody, then we should decide if we still can to make amends, to make up for it. If the person has died, still regret and say, well, I will be careful not to do that to somebody else because I feel the effect. But this is really unfortunate that we only look at results, you know, of our actions. We don't look at non-results of actions that we didn't do, and we don't rejoice. We could, every day you drive a car, you could hurt, you could kill somebody. You drive a trottinette, how do you call them, scooter? You drive a bike, you could, you know, even you walk, you could kill a person, isn't it? So we can rejoice. Yeah. And then with the Virya, the 7th chapter of the Bodhicharyavatara. But the thing is, it's the 7th chapter, and first you have the other chapters. So the first one talks about the benefit of developing bodhicitta. You know, we're talking about Lojong, it's like. The second chapter and the third talks about preparing the ground, because he recognizes it's really difficult to develop bodhicitta. It's a very big thing, having a mind that is more concerned about others' happiness than our own. Well, a mother or father, they have it with the children, so we can do it, but then there's a lot of self-interest in there, so we need to widen that. Then the 4th chapter, it starts to talk about mindfulness, like conscientiousness, you know, like vipassana, to really watch your mind. And the 5th also, that goes together. The 5th goes more into behavior, when you are mindful behavior. Then the 6th talks about patience. And then it seems like the 7th is about enthusiasm. You can ask yourself, why is he not putting that at the beginning? Because it's kind of, you might have noticed it's about 6 perfections, right, that we practice. But it could be that as we go along, and maybe the result is not big enough, it goes down. So then he kind of gives himself a kick again, and first he scolds himself, then he kind of praises himself, and then the 8th is about his concentration, meditation, and it's especially about exchanging self for others. So all these others are a preparation for learning to strengthen the mind in such a way that we're not destroying ourselves when we do Lojong, because there you have to be careful. Yeah, Lojong, you know, it's also always good, like mind training, to discuss it in the group, to try it out in daily life, to see what happened, and to further discuss it and see if that's really what I want to do, right? So, yeah, you have to be quite strong. You have to have a healthy ego to do Lojong, but your ego needs to be very small. And the smaller the ego, the stronger it gets, the more space there is. It's training. And you have Alon, who is teaching you all these wonderful things, and it's available, and it's wonderful. You have the Sangha, you have the place, you have the texts, you have the methods, so we can all attain Buddhahood. I see how enthusiastic you are. Hey guys, you need to be a little bit more enthusiastic there. Wow, yay! Because you see, this whole thing, wanting to be well and not wanting to suffer, we're stuck with that. Because the nature of our mind is to be well. So that's an instinct that we cannot let go of. That will call us again and again and again and again. And each life we will look for this again and again and again and again. Most of the time we're looking in the wrong place. Now maybe somebody came and turned our nose into a different direction. Yeah, somebody said Losang somewhere.
You spoke about the low jump. I wanted to ask, is there a connection between the, what's his name? Is Yamantaka or how is the...
Yamantaka practice?
You said the name of someone, the Lord of Truthful, something like this? Wordful?
Wrathful.
Yes.
Is there a connection between what you said now and...
The deity of the tough compassion. The deity of the tough compassion.
Yeah, there's many. There's many wrathful deities. One of them is Yamantaka, yeah. He's got, what, 9 heads, 34 arms, 16 legs. And in each hand he holds a weapon.
No, I mean, is there a connection between the symbol, what he symbolized, the death or the recovering of death and the low jump?
Of death? No, he's not the Lord of Death. He's a wrathful deity. Yamantaka is not the Lord of Death. Yama is the Lord of Death. When you have, you see, when you, it's okay. So.
No, because you said it's dangerous. I wanted to know why you were saying that.
What is dangerous? Lojong.
Yes.
You can destroy yourself. You know, if you're not ready to give away all your things or to let others, you know the 8 verses? I'm pretty sure. Yeah? Okay. So let's say one of the verses is, whenever somebody is kind of out of jealousy, they accuse me of something, and then I will give him the victory. Oh, that's very nice. But it can destroy you. You do it, and the other person kind of takes advantage of it, and you get sacked, you lose your job because you took the fault and all this. If you don't have the long view of, hey, I got sacked now, and I got accused now, even though I didn't do it in this life, I did it in a past life, but now this karma is finished. If that is only in your head and not in your heart, you will get depressed, you will get angry. You will start cursing the Lojong and say, look what they did to me, I lost my job. You see, if we do Lojong with a wish to have a happier life now, we shouldn't do it. Although the side effect is a happier life now, but if that's the motivation, you know, I had somebody at one point, he was very he was really kind of rebellious person, so we talked about the 8 verses, and he said, well, I did this, but it didn't work. I said, what do you mean it didn't work? He said, it made me feel miserable. I said, great, it works. But you see, he was doing Lojong, thinking that it will make him stronger and a better person, and people will do what... No, it's not like that. This is what I'm saying. Lojong has to be really accompanied by somebody who knows you, and somebody who sees your progress, and somebody who sees whether you're ready for it or not. So, as you were saying, first you start looking after yourself with ethical conduct, thinking about karma, purifying this and that, and like that. And Yamantaka, or the wrathful deities, Yamantaka is just one of them, with these 34 arms, with weapons in their hands, where are these weapons directed at? Where? Huh?
Your mind.
Wrong views.
The ignorance.
Wrong views, self-cherishing, self-concern. You know, grasping at the self, like holding it for true, that's the only enemy that we have. That is the cause for suffering. And then starting to cherish it. Like all these wrathful deities, although, you know, we make practices, they're called protectors sometimes. But they protect me from doing stupid things. If I have the karma to be hurt by somebody, I will get hurt. Buddha cannot protect me. But what I need, also when we ask peaceful deities, there's very inspiring for me, prayer to Chandrasik, the Buddha of compassion, with 11 heads and 1,000 arms. We're asking for protection. What is the protection that we're asking for in these prayers? Protecting from my crazy mind to do more negative karma when I'm in this and this and this situation. And the best protection is, if I visualize Yamataka and I'm afraid of him, I go, okay, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. If I visualize Chandrasik, it reminds me of my compassion, and that's what I really wanted. But these deities, it goes into tantric practice, and it's good to have an initiation, it's good to do a retreat, it's good to study it and all this. Yeah. There's quite a good book by Rob Priest, actually, about Buddhist psychology, I think, something. And it talks a lot about the Tibetan Buddhist Tantra, why we use it. Yeah. But that has to be done with bodhicitta, otherwise it's not working as it should work. And it's very powerful. Not just the wrathful deities, also the peaceful, like Tara, Chandrasik, and all this, because every time we visualize these images, every time we see images like this, it connects us to our own Buddha nature. It reminds us what we want. We want to become like them, right? Even though they look quite funny. Imagine being Yamataka, 9 heads, 34 arms, 16 legs, and you face a terrorist. He would drop his gun and run away. It looks so strange and so frightening. And why would you want to frighten the terrorist? So that he is protected himself from killing others. That is why you would want him to stop. Not to protect you or other people, but to protect him, especially from doing negative action. I wish I had this attitude, but I'm not there. There at all, but I'm working for it. I'm inspired to maybe, I don't know in how many lifetimes, to be really able to do that. And I can see, if somebody has qualities and all this, like the Dalai Lama, he inspires people to become peaceful and to start practicing. And just by being present, at least when he's there, they're peaceful and joyful. And joy is when you say calm, joy has a lot to do with gratitude also. Yeah, that we start to count the good things that we have in life, not just the negative things. Ethical conduct, as I said, humor, of course, is not to take everything so heavy, and bodhicitta. How much more meaningful can your life be if you work for bodhicitta, no matter the result? It doesn't matter, just the interest and wanting to get there. I mean, how much more meaningful do you want to make your life as wanting to become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings? So unfortunately Buddhism is not so much short-term results, right? Because even the Dalai Lama would come here, he wouldn't be able to stop the fighting. I remember he was giving a talk, maybe here in Israel.
2006.
It was in 2000, I think, something. Ethics for a New Millennium, it was called. And somebody was asking him about the war in Serbia and Kosovo and all this. And he said, it's too late to do something now, it has gone too far, but it stopped. The war there also stopped. It went on for quite a few years. People who were neighbors, and all of a sudden, because of different religion, Christians, the Serbs, Christians, the others Muslim, and then they start killing each other. But when he was asked what to do, he said, I don't know, it's too late, it has started. So. But also wars are impermanent. Okay? Is that okay like that? Anyway, I really, you know, I continue with the sutra. This is all I can do. But this I can do, you know, reciting it, and then we have I can read it if you want, like a special dedication list for the situation that we always dedicate for everybody to become a Buddha very quickly in order to be able to benefit all sentient beings and lead them to that state of enlightenment. And then, of course, may the Supreme Jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and go, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. And may the supreme view of emptiness that has not arisen arise and go. Then we always dedicate, I don't find it here, maybe I find it there. And then we always dedicate for the long lives of our teachers, which is very important. As the Dalai Lama says, you know, he wants to live until he is 110 years old. You can see his body is finished. You can see he must have a lot of pain the way he moves, whatever, but he says, I feel I can benefit beings by still being here. So I really want to be able to live 210 years. So then when we request from the bottom of our heart, you know, may you have, please, healthy, long and stable life, then we can contribute to the causes that this will really happen. And then, of course, you know, whatever, this is really good, that whatever positive things you do, you also kind of short term, you dedicate to the difficult situation here for the release of the hostages. And I probably found it because I had to turn on the hotspot. So I will probably have it in a minute. So kind of we dedicate all the positive energy from having gathered here together and the positive energy from all other people who are honestly working for peace and to be able to live together. That the conditions for peace in the Middle East and the whole world may immediately be established. May all citizens everywhere enjoy complete freedom from violence, war and oppression. May they live in safe environment. May everyone who has the right to freedom of speech speak with kind and helpful words to create unity instead of hatred and division. May all the hostages and their families be united. If released, may they not remain traumatized. And while in captivity, may their basic needs be fulfilled. May all who have been uprooted from their homes be able to return, and all the destroyed buildings be rebuilt quickly and completely. May all who have and are dying in this war be immediately reborn in the Pure Land and quickly attain the deathless state, free from suffering. May all those who protect their homeland be safe from receiving and giving harm. May all the terrorist attacks stop around the world, and may their wishes be fulfilled so harm and conflict becomes totally useless. May the settlers stop attacking the Palestinians and the Bedouins in the West Bank. May the terrorists stop attacking the Israelis, and may the Palestinians and Bedouins have all the resources they need to survive. May all children, the elderly and the women be protected and respected everywhere. May all politicians and people have the power to make decisions be far-sighted. Develop bodhicitta, think about how to create peace, have respect for each other and being able to live together. May the doctrine of all religions benefit all sentient beings of this world. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, and attain peerless happiness. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And may this be able to be left behind us and we don't have to speak about such difficult things anymore. But there will be other difficulties.
Sure.
This is samsara. But we have the possibility to get out of it. This is wonderful. And this possibility, like Viktor Frankl says, you will never lose it. Nobody can take it away from you. It's the nature of the mind, which is pure by nature. It's just covered. And it's like water. You cannot take the humidity out of water. We cannot take the spaciousness, the goodness out of our mind. But it's covered at the moment. And we're here to discover it. So thank you very much. Please be safe. Be protected. And continue to work on your own mind. And like that, we also work for peace at the same time. Thank you, Alon, for leading those groups tirelessly.
Who said?
I say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much to come to Israel and to our Gompa in these difficult times. And thank you for the friendship for all these years. I learned a lot from you, and I tell my students all the time that a lot of what I'm telling you or teaching is things that I heard and learned from you.
That wasn't me, that was the person in the past.
Yeah.
Now I'm old and forgetting everything and all this. But no, as you say, the friendship, you know, even though I don't have anything kind of really drastic to offer you that will change things, or your mind is like, the friendship is there. The well-wishing is there. And this I can offer you. A lot of wisdom, not anymore. My brain is going really soft, and but it's okay.
And friendship is priceless.
Huh?
And friendship is priceless.
Yes, exactly.
So thank you very, very much for this talk.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much. תודה רבה לכולם. אני מזכיר לכם שהשיעור בדנה נעלמה, איפה הקופסה? הייתה שם קופסה של דנה?
כאן.
אוקיי, אז תשימו אותה על השיש, אז אל תשכחו להראות גם את נדיבות לבכם לשיעור הזה, זה תומך בעמותת ידידי, הדהרמה. שוב פעם, תודה רבה שהגעתם.
אפשר דנה גם באתר של ידידי, הדהרמה.
שלחתי קישור דנה גם בכל הצורות אפשריות דרך האתר, שכולם קיבלו את הקישור. Thank you again. For all the things.
You're very welcome.
And I hope to see you next year again here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no other plans. It will depend on the circumstances. Outer and inner and all kinds of things. We don't know. But there's no other plans of not to come.
מישהו נסע לתל אביב? אני.
צריך
תודה רבה.